"Good luck," said Henry. Dale simply nodded, as Henry, his friend, finished packing up his tent and got in his car. "I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully," he joked, shutting his door. A few seconds later, he drove off. "That's the last one," Dale thought to himself. He looked around at the now barren campsite. There were empty spaces in the snow, places where his other friends' tents were. The sun had already set, cloaking Dale's camp in darkness, aside from the crackling fire, which burned a dim light. The sight had already creeped Dale out, until he was reminded of why he was there. Last night, he and his friends decided to have a bet that Dale would have to stay one night by himself. Dale knew that he was the one picked, because he was the most fearful member of the group. Dale checked his watch. He decided to start dinner, so he went out to the cooler to get some food. It was near the edge of the campsite, next to where one of his friend's tents had previously been. He made a mental note of moving it closer to his tent before going to bed. When Dale got close to the cooler, he noticed something was off. There weren't any sounds coming from the woods around him. The only sound he could hear came from the fire behind him. Though it was unnerving, Dale brushed it off. "That only means there's nothing around to hurt me," he concluded. He finally found what he was looking for and closed the cooler. When he turned around, he saw something that sent chills down his spine. Some sort of figure was behind his tent. It was incredibly tall and thin, but it was just out of the fire's light, so Dale couldn't get a better look. The thing was easily about 10 feet tall. "Okay," Dale thought. "Screw this. I don't give a crap about $20. Dale ran straight for his car, only to find that it was locked. He remembered with horror that he had left his keys in his bag, which was in his tent. He turned back to see if the thing was gone, and fortunately, it was. With caution, he looked around the tree line, but it was nowhere to be seen. The sounds of the forest had returned, with owls hooting and the wind whispering in the air. For once, it gave Dale a bit of comfort. Maybe it was just my shadow, Dale thought. He knew that sometimes fire could pull tricks like that, but the figure was on the other side of the campfire. Dale finally managed to comfort himself. He finally thought that it was just his brain making something out of nothing. He had read something about how the brain can make something with similar qualities seem familiar to something else, which is why you can sometimes mistake a stranger for one of your closest friends. He had figured that he simply mistook the tree behind his tent for a ghastly monster. Dale realized that he had lost his appetite, so eating was out of the question. He decided to just sleep and get the night over with. He didn't bother dousing the fire. He knew it would only make him worry. He got into his sleeping bag and shut his eyes. He woke up, not to the morning, but to darkness. The fire was nearly dead, and the forest was quiet again. He looked around, but he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Dale was about to shut his eyes again when the fire died. He was surrounded by pitch blackness. He told himself to calm down and that there was nothing out there. Finally, Dale heard a sound. This wasn't a comforting sound. In fact, it was the opposite. It was the sound of a zipper unzipping. The entrance to his tent was being opened. He was too scared to speak, and all of his hunting equipment was outside his tent. So he decided to act like he was asleep and would wait to see what happened next. The zipping sound finally stopped, and Dale was left with silence. There was no movement for what seemed like hours, but Dale didn't dare close his eyes. Then, he noticed something. A hand was now reaching into the tent. It wasn't grabbing anything, it was just reaching, slowly getting deeper into Dale's tent. The arm kept stretching, longer than any human arm should. It reached so far, it could nearly reach the other side of the tent. Dale shut his eyes tightly for what seemed like an hour. When he opened them, there was nothing in the tent. The door wasn't even open. Dale sighed with relief and rolled over on his side. That's when he felt something on the side of his neck. It was a cold breeze. Dale didn't remember any holes in his tent. He turned on a nearby light and sat up. He looked around the tent, expecting to find a hole, but when he looked at the entrance, he froze. In the darkness that was just out of the light's reach, he saw a grinning, pale face. The grin seemed longer than what was humanly possible, and what was even more threatening were the sharp, red-stained teeth. Dale couldn't move. The only thing he could do was stare at the face, which only stared back. After a while, Dale noticed something. The face was slowly moving towards him. Not just the face, but the entire blackness that had started at the end of his tent had now reached the end of his sleeping bag. He pulled his feet closer to him, shivering with fear. The light went out. What's up, everybody? This is the Lone Wolf here. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my narration of Winter Camping. If you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, especially those of you new to my channel. Hit that bell for notifications and join the Lone Wolf Pack. If anybody wishes to reach out to me regarding personal stories, recommendations, future collaborations, advice about the channel, or just to say hi, there will be links to all of my social media platforms in the description below. I'm mostly active on Twitter and Instagram, but I also have a TikTok account, email, and Discord server that you can message me on as well. Until next time, stay spooky. And remember, the hunt begins when the moon is full. Happy holidays.